Hey guys, welcome back to the doremicom channel. This is a quick first impression overview of the Hero Lab software from WolfLair. They are the ones that did the Army Builder software for tabletop strategy, and Hero Lab is designed more for your role-playing games. You can kind of see right off the get-go that there are quite a few games that Hero Lab can be used for, and there are more that aren't on this list. These are just the ones that I've downloaded thus far. If there was an update available, you'd actually see this exclamation point contained within the actual box for the game system. So for right now, we're going to go ahead and click on Pathfinder, click on load, and enter in to generating our first Pathfinder character. So let's give our hero a name. We'll call him Thorin Drask, and the person who's actually controlling the character is me, so I'll go ahead and add my name to it. The first thing you can tell is that Pathfinder gives quite a few different ways on how you want to generate your character, whether or not you want to roll or pick your ability scores, or if you're going to do a point buy system. I personally prefer point buy because it makes sure that all characters are even. You can actually create characters that are beyond first level, and you can see that as we change the starting level, the experience in the background also changes. We can also stipulate the starting cash, so instead of 150, we're going to give this character 250 gold to start off with. And we can also create not only allies or members of the party, but we can also create evil characters too within this software. Over to the right hand, you'll notice that there's a button which can actually change the rule system even within Pathfinder to add special things that might exist within modules. For instance, special weapons or spells that were created in a particular module, or special kind of house rules, like we don't really care about encumbrance, so don't apply that to the logic of our character building. For this, we're just going to try to stream through and create a character as fast as we possibly can with this software. Before we do that, let's go ahead and bring it back down to first level, since that's the level of the campaign that John's running. Click OK. Now you'll notice that character levels start off at 0, so it's time to level up this character. And we've decided that Thorin Drask is going to be a ranger. Now, if the character was 4th level, we could actually use this number to add and change the number of levels of this particular class all at once. But since it's a 1st level character, we're just going to add Ranger 1. Close this up. And in Pathfinder, there's the notion of favored bonus, whether or not you want, every time the character levels up, you can get a skill point or a hit point. We want this guy to be a little bit more of a tank, so we're going to give him an additional hit point for every time he levels up. Also tells you exactly how much experience you need in order to get to the next level. It also tells you the number of experience you need to get to the next level. And now we start choosing special things like favorite class. A lot of these things that we're going to be talking about will come out in the Pathfinder tutorials, but for those people who are experienced with the system, you'll recognize all these things. Over to the right is a really nice piece of information. It kind of does a quick by the numbers review of everything that the character is, and this information gets updated as you change things within each one of the tabs across the top. The ones that require information are highlighted in red, with the exception of the class features, which could be deemed as optional, but it's always a good idea to go ahead and click there when you get to it. So let's choose the background first. This is more of the racial modification of the character. So we're choosing a race. He's going to be a human ranger. We'll select that. We'll choose the alignment for the character now, and we're gonna say he's chaotic good. He tries to be good as much as possible, but sometimes he doesn't obey the law. He's more of a Robin Hood type character. As a human character in the Pathfinder series, you're allowed to grant a +2 ability score to any one ability. So we're going to choose Dexterity because that's the skill that's used for bows. And you'll notice that all these other skills are 10 except for Dexterity, which is already at a 12. That's because of the background +2 to Dexterity. Now, once we're here, you'll notice that there is a 0 of 20 with 20 left. This is because we chose the point buy system for building up a character. And there are special mathematical equations on when you go from one number to the next, how many points does it cost you from your point buy. We're not going to review that here, but just know that as you make modification to your character, these numbers are being subtracted from your available points from the point buy system that you chose. And now that we've spent all 20 points and we have associated ability scores. Things that are impacted by your ability score, again, are reflected in your overview to the right. I'm going to keep going back to this because I can't tell you how amazing I think this is. Let's start with the armor class, for instance. Right now, the armor class is 14. That's because in Pathfinder, you start with a base of 10, and your dexterity bonus, which you can see kind of over here, dexterity 18 plus 4, is reflected in your armor class. Now, since we've affected something that affects the background of the character, the background again becomes red, and we'll notice, oh, hey, look, we have another language that we can add. And this guy can also speak Draconic. So now you'll note that the background area is no longer red, it's now grayed out. And we can go over to skills, apply the skills. We have 8 skills given the fact that he's a human first level ranger. So we're going to apply 8 skill points. And once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and move over to feats, because we can add a new feat. In fact, we can add 2 new feats. So let's pick 2 feats real quick. He has animal affinity and acrobatics. Feats are basically special abilities that your character can have. And they show up in our feats list with 2 of 2 selected. We can also add weapons to this character. So we've already decided he's going to be a Robin Hood type character. So let's give him a longbow. Those weapons that he is proficient in are highlighted black. Those that he is not proficient in are grayed out. That gives you a visual cue as to saying what kind of weapons he should be carrying. Now, just because it's grayed out, you can still select it, because maybe you're building up a character who found all these extra weapons that even though he can't use them, he has them in his possession. As we purchase something, we'll note that it impacts the starting cash that we had. We start with 250, the bow costs 75, and now our remaining cash is 175 gold. Now we can also equip this weapon, and it's nice that it also adds the knowledge so that for new players, if you're using a longbow, you have to use both hands to use it, so you can't equip a shield as well. Talking about armor, let's go ahead and add some armor to him. And we can see the bonuses that various armor provides. We're going to give studded leather for this particular character, which gives a little bit better armor than standard leather. And you can see now that the studded leather is a +3. Again, once we equip it, it gets reflected over on the right side descriptor. So now we can see that his armor class is now 17, 10, +3 for the armor, +4 for the dexterity. If he had any magic items, we could add that as well. Also gear, other special information such as mounts and hirelings. Personal information, which gives you a chance to go in and give some details about the character's background. And as a DM, I really like this feature that we can add a photo to the character sheet as well, because now I can take a photo of a miniature, for instance, and add that to the character. And it accepts quite a few different image types that can be added to it. Once we're done with the personal information, we can add journal entries. So let's say I want to keep track of the fact that, the first thing my character did was battle an ogre. And I can now create a journal entry. Saved Princess Sophia by taking out the ogre who was held her prisoner. I can add experience that my DM gives me based on that encounter. And we can also say that maybe the guy found 25 gold pieces with that encounter. So here's a quick overview of the experience and gold that that person acquired. We can now go over to special, which just basically shows the special abilities given the fact that I'm a first level human ranger, as well as the feats that I selected. And now that we're done with looking at special abilities, yes, there is still more to this particular piece of software. If you're going to be using your laptop or this software in the middle of game, you can actually use the in play to identify the equipment that's currently worn by your character, tracked resources, identifying when you are healing from lethal and non-lethal damage, or when you are applying damage from lethal and non-lethal controls. You can also click on the adjustment to do things. For instance, if your character is prone, you can easily and quickly reference what does that actually mean to your character. That when your character is prone, you get a minus to attack and melee attacks. You can't use ranged weapons except for crossbows. Everything is laid out in a very concise fashion, and each one of these conditions are different things that could happen to your character based on experiencing poisons, having a spell cast on you, whatever. Even bonuses like when you're invisible, having a +2 to hit other opponents that you can see. So now that we've crossed through every single tab across the top, let's show you the real power of this software. It really is in the actual generation of the character sheet, which you can take to your game. So for instance, if we want to look at a particular character sheet, it lays everything out for you in a very nice fashion, easy to read. Here's all your skills, here's all your feats, your core information on your ability scores, what damage and what bonuses you need to add when you're using various weapons, or if you're unarmed, how your armor is. If we take a look at the second page, we could see the spells that we have for a particular character, the gear that they're carrying, how much experience they've acquired this far, and how much they have to reach to the next level, the current cash that they have. And we can go to the journals and actually see a running history of all the various things they've done. So we added the journal that we battled an ogre, and we saved Princess Sophia. Maybe this character will be useful for us to know about in some later part of the campaign. Beyond that, we can actually print out pages based on spells that we have in our spell book, the detailed information regarding a spell, the effects of the spell only as a quick reference for spellcasters. This keeps people from having to constantly reference the core rule book that will then be normally passed around the table as two spellcasters happen to need to cast spells. This is a quick reference so that if this was a spellcaster character that we created, you could easily and quickly see a listing of the spells that they have and what those effects are in the game. Beyond actually printing out the character sheet, we can also generate a PDF, which might be useful, say, if you wanted to post this information online, or if you needed to send this to yourself in an email so that you could access it from anywhere. Overall, this piece of software for Hero Lab is really, really tight. It really is a great piece of software. We created a character from beginning to end, first level character, we're done, and didn't take us that much time. Easy to understand rule system. If you're a veteran player and you're going from 3.5 to 4.0 D&D, or if you're going to Pathfinder, all the rules that govern those particular game systems are laid out for you. Out of a rating system of 10, where I would give the Army Builder software a 9.5 just because of the sheer complexity that exists with creating army lists, I would definitely give Hero Lab a 9. The concise spell listings and the really nice character sheets that get generated are easily get you to a 9 with this piece of software. We're going to go into a little bit more detail with this as we're actually using it in the Pathfinder tutorials. This is just like I said, first impressions of the Hero Lab, very, very positive, and hope this helps. Have a good one, guys.